finish line, and then we move on to the Claremont climb and then the Pattenberg, which takes us out to that 45-kilometre distance. Now, this race field, Emma, it's big, it's packed full of talented riders.
It is. David Valencia is one of them. Daniel Valencia, should I say, sorry.
He is indeed. And if we look back at the stats, because Emma is an evidence-based, informative style person, aka she's got more notebooks than the Oxford Library has tomes of Shakespeare.
There's nothing wrong with a notebook.
Yes. In your many notebooks, could you just give us a quick rundown of the people who, based on the evidence, are likely to figure?
Well, can I start with by saying that my fact of the day for Category 4 is there are 5 Davids in the race field. But I think Neville Ross won here last time. Nicholas Orrego was second in Belgium, and that was qualifier 3 in April. I think he's going to play a part here. And Luke Allport, well, he loves this course.
Well, we're going to see if Emma's predictions are right in Category 4. And no sooner are they away, but we're going to move on to our Category 3. Now, the if team. If, what, where, when? Will it be Montoya who's going to take away? He's leading the team out. Level Racing are here again with Eric Rimberg, Matthias Kalman and Thierry Bassetti. Will Bassetti be able to do the business for them here on a course that should suit him and Eric Rimberg, to be fair? But it's a big race field again. Lots of riders who can figure in here. Anybody in particular non-evidence-based? Emma, catch your eye.
Ooh, non-evidence. We've got a new rider, Lewis Ridley. I understand he is in the same garage as Nicol Cansara.
There we go. So let's take a look at whether or not he is going to be able to figure alongside Nicol Cansara. We'll see how that is going to work out. Ivan Yuki on the line in Category 2. We'll be watching the Category 3 riders around him head away from the start. Remember, there's a big gap, 10 minutes to wait after these Category 3 riders go. But Category 3 on the start line. The countdown is on. We're in with Esteban Arroz on the start line. Timing is everything as we go underneath that UCI banner. Let's get the power down. Time to get racing in Category 3. Now, Emma, we've done the non-evidence-based. Let's go for the evidence-based.
Okay, so the most given names in Category 3 today.
Go on.
Pablo.
3
riders with the given name of Pablo in Category 3, 5 with David in Category 4. It doesn't work in Category 2. There's nobody with a duplicate. But
really,
there isn't. There is a Henrique and a Henry, but there is nobody in Category 2 with the same given name.
There's a Nicholas and a Nicholas.
Yeah, but they're still not the same.
And a Henrik and a Henry.
But it's not the same. Anyway, that is my trivia of the day. But let's get back to the racing now. Rinborg, Kalman and Bassetti from Level Racing. Phenomenal set of riders there. Diduch took a second in the final last week. He is on form. Paul Garin is here. Kianowski, Cadiz, Elos. Oviedo took a 5th. Rodriguez took the win. Orrego is here. Nick Scolari normally rides really well in Belgium. Nicol Cansara, it's his type of course as well. Kirchner, Hoyos and Acker all in the mix, you know, so I think this could be really great racing. But do you know what, I was going to say I predict a riot, but I don't predict a riot, I predict a sprint.
You okay? Well, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Category 3 is going to finish in a sprint today. 49 riders on the start sheet today in Category 3. They're in Belgium, and do you know what, it's been some time since the men have been in Belgium.
Yeah, it's one of those courses that never ever disappoints. It really is frantic racing. It's really furious racing, but it is tough to say. It's basically 492 meters of climbing in 45k, and there is a sort of a golden rule. Anything that is like 10 meters of climbing, so basically per meter as you go through. So 45k, if that was 4,500 meters, that'd be, you know, pretty normal. That's a dividing line for me. Once you get over 450 meters in 45k, we're into a bumpy course. Get over 1,000 meters, you're in a blinking, lumpy, bumpy, painful course.
A lumpy, bumpy, painful course.
A lumpy, bumpy, painful course, aka a mountain course. However, today, because of the steepness of these gradients, I think it's going to test the riders. And I am quite surprised
to see... Early push here.
Yeah, now, I am surprised to see Torsten Holtz and Luke Allport squeezing on a little bit. I'm not going to say that's an attack per se, but it is definitely squeezing on a little bit,
well,
because you've got the first climb is, of course, Kia, and it's coming relatively quickly because it comes in at 6 kilometers, so basically 700 meters away.
I think they're just warming their legs up.
I'm not sure I'd squeeze too hard here,
They're
because
just-
you're going to hit it, and then you need your legs.
They are just warming their legs up. You know, they've come out of the start pen. It's been a steady pace. They're at 5.5 kilometres into the race. At 6K, that's when the quarter gear starts. They're just warming their legs up. And I'll tell you something, Eric Rinborg is going to be warming his legs up today, because this is the first sprint. Only 2 sprints today, the Ghent City sprint and then the Tissenhoven-Molen sprint. This Ghent sprint coming at 2 kilometres into the race, warming his legs up at the moment, but it is indeed, taking a look at that, Ben Kirk coming through currently at the fastest time in category 4. The category 3 riders not touching him, so Kirk really stretching his legs early in that category 4 race, picking up the fastest sprint so far out of category 4 and category 3, but both categories having their own allocated green skin suit for the fastest sprinter in that category.
And that's accumulation of points in the sprints, a bit like we see the accumulation of points in the climbs for that polka dot skin suit. And that will be going to the rider who is basically with the most points at any point in time. Now we're going on to the climb. We're in with Thorsten Holtz. You can see him on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see his avatar dead center with that multicolored banded cap in the center of the pack, just getting mobbed a little bit at the moment, sitting in 22nd place of this big race field. And for me, the key thing here on the quarter gear, when you ride this, now I've ridden this a couple of times on MyWhoosh. It's not something I want to necessarily repeat too often, because it's really bleeding steep. But when you go onto this climb, because it gradually ramps up coming in to the climb, for me that it just winds the pressure, and there's not just a sudden transition. So it's not that you go from flat to a big climb. It gradually winds up and it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper. And I think that's in some ways a bit more difficult to judge. Getting the pacing right is going to be key here for everybody.
Well, you can see the damage being done to the category 4 group on the left-hand corner shot, the bottom left-hand corner shot. You can see the stretch on that category 4 group. Mark Dadson making his way into the top 10, ensuring he is in safe land. Cridland, Neville Ross, Allport, Holtz, Dadson, Russenek moving up. I'd seen him position himself in the top 20, making sure he's there and thereabouts. Ben Kirk is there as well. Now, I'd also seen Tim Connell is here too, so is Ola Warren. Daniel Valencia, now that is a rider on some serious form as well. There indeed is Andrew Neville Ross. You can see him paying close attention in P2 at the moment in this category 4 race. He's ensuring he's right at the pointy end of this race field, right at the front of the climb, leading it out. They're not in the steep section yet, and that's still a big group of category 4 riders. You can see now 3 distinct groups on the road. It's a big first group. I don't think it's going to be a big first group once we hit 17%.
And that is where we're about to go. Just watch the gradient increase on the right-hand side of your screen. That's going to go rocketing skywards as Category 3 is still on the flatlands. They are 1.5k from the start of the climb. In the thick of the climb are our Category 4 riders. You can see now at nearly 16% going upwards. And this is where it gets steep. And remember, the quarter gear is a 2-stage climb. This is not a single stage climb. You've got the first point, you've then got a descent with a flat section in the middle, and then another rise once again. I'll tell you something, Ben Kurt on his way up. I can't see an intercom on his chest there. We've not got any Starship. He must be really sick of the Star Trek quotes on the way through. But I tell you what,
smiling. You're making him laugh.
He's doing a great job on his way up here.
If you can make him laugh at 7% of nearly at the top of this climb,
I'm going to be able to. Do you know what? He's got the Hollywood looks.
Look at that.
Captain Kirk. He could be Captain Kirk. William Shatner, eat your heart out. This man, not only does he look like Captain Kirk, he can climb like he's going to blast into space, because this is brilliant. Look at the damage being done. He's right at the front, and there are bodies on the hillside.
Well, as you always say, Matt, happy rider, great racer, and Ben Kirk giggling his way up the climb. Well, he's showing that is true.
I tell you what, this front group have put the hurt on in a big big way here. Look at the damage done behind. We have got, what was the total number of riders at the start line, Em?
53.
53 riders down to kind of like about 12, 15 riders, and everybody else is splattered across the hillside. And is that it, Emma? Is that it? There's recovery coming in, and then we've got the second part of the time. We're not the top of the first climb.
Look at the size of the chasing group, Matt. We've got a group of around 12 riders on a breakaway at the moment. They've transitioned over the first part of the quarter clear climb. They're dropping down into the descent before they hit the second part. But the chase group has got to be double the number. And we know from the top of the quarter clear through to the bottom of the Valkenburg, it's over 6 kilometres, and we know a catch can be made of around 15 seconds. So I'm looking for that key time at the top of the quarter clear climbing category 4. This is category 3, and they have just hit the bottom of the quarter clear climb. And I'm taking a look at the size of that group, Matt. 49 riders on the start sheets. That's got to be pretty much the whole race field.
Yep, and with Johan Moreno at the front of that big race field, I'm not sure that he's going to be there necessarily right in front, but he should be in this leading group. He's a rider who you always have to take into account when he's racing. Now, Francis Pino starting to wind this up with Johan Moreno on the front. On the bottom left-hand side of your screen, that is a category 3, category 4 over the top of part 1, heading for part 2. It's time to get our category 2 riders underway in the midst of all this action. The Aotearoa Alliance are named after the Indigenous people's name for New Zealand. Goodall and Connell. We've got the Level Wizards, Bangston, Betty, Donta, Walter and Coyston. The UAE clan team, the legendary Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic and SS. The UAE Falcons, Altanashi and Hamden. We've got Filippo Quadrelli of the Watt Colonels, and we have Martin Card of the What's Up team, all heading up their respective teams. Riders from all around the globe in this race field. Category 2 underway, our penultimate category, with just 5 more minutes to go to Category 1 to get everybody out on the race course. We're in with Peter Milostic, who is at the moment right up at the pointy end of this bunch as they head out underway. Looks to me like this is going to be a fast start in Category 2, and it's another big race field, Emma.
It is indeed, and really great to see these riders absolutely flying out the start pens. You know, the pace already really high within the first 300 metres. 48 riders on the start sheets in Category 2. Now, Ruben Dont won in Belgium last time, so keep your eyes peeled for him. Quintero finished third, and Nicholas Spratt took second place. So those are the top 3 last time we were in Belgium. Let's just remember, that was qualifier race number 3 in April. This is qualifier 1 in June. Can they do the same again today? Well, I can tell you. Krasnich, Bjarhead, Acevedo, Milasik, Mendakowicz, Van Hee, Von Haren, Simmons, Graves, Kerradine, Clays, they are all going to be in the mix. Let's not forget X100, Walter or Koinstinen, Bengston, Betty, Goodall and Connell. It's a class field in Category 2 as ever.
And I'm going to go there because we're going to do this nice and early. In Category 2, we have seen a number of riders move out of Category 1 into Category 2, including the UAE clan team, who were known in Category 1 for being aggressive and for really taking the racing on. They're doing the same in Category 2. For me, it seems to have changed the dynamic slightly to be I'm not sure it could be, but an even harder race because of that movement across. We talked about it a little bit in the women's race. For you, Emma, does that changing dynamic change the type of rider who can win, or does it still remain the same people are going to come to the fore?
Oh, I think we're still seeing, well, it's really interesting, isn't it? We are still seeing similar people come to the fore because class is class, and those people who are at the top of this category, they know how to race this race field. But it is shaking the racing up, which I think is really important, because I think if you race with the same group of riders week in, week out, you know what each other's going to do. Oh, it's a big climb today. It's 15 kilometres of climbing. That's going to be X, Y and Z. This is a short, sharp, punchy course. It's going to be A, B and C. coming in and disrupting the racing. Disruption is good. Disruption makes everybody better because they have to race a different game. They have to think a different way, and they have to work out how to win in a different format. So for me, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of disruption, absolutely brilliant.
I would agree. And if you do get settled into a rut, you're not going to improve as much as when you are doing lots of different types of riding against different riders. Now we're in with Henry East here. Henry out of the saddle regularly, sits back down, gets out of the saddle, sits back down. He's a rider who is really dynamic on the bike at the moment, kicking his way down here. He's seen the opportunity to take away the green skin suit to add to his green jersey. He should have the fastest time, or has he? We're going to take a little bit of a look. I'm not sure he's got it because I think a rider from behind has gone through quicker. They have Ian McCarroll and Ben Kirk, in fact, going faster than Henry East. East was looking to take an opportunistic grab for the skin suit. McCarroll has done so instead, and this group at the moment have a little bit of a gap. If they were to push on here, they might make life very, very hard for the riders behind in Category 2. So Category 2 on the top right-hand side of your screen. Currently making the way along. They're at 2.7k. We have got 9k under the wheels for Category 3 and nearly 12k under the wheels for Category 4. Category 1, they're lined up. They're all ready to go. Big teams in here. Coalition Alphajaw, not as big as normal. Jacobs and Kaminsky representing them. The Hard to Guard team. A first start for the Hard to Guard team, but some familiar names. Martin Martins, Michael Nussen, and Stefan Van Elst. And the Salty Popcorn teams, well, they've thrown out for your delectation the one and only David Darn. Will he be able to add a bit of spice to the salt? Time to see. The riders lined up ready to go. The final race start, our Category 1 riders here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's our June qualifier, race number 1 in our men's competition. The final riders winding the watts up. It's time to go racing.
Well, it is indeed, and away they go in Category 1. Barnes straight out of the start pen at 7 watts per kilo. Anybody told our new rider that the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club does not head out of the start pen at a sprint, but Barnes now coming back into the front of the group. Great to see him here. So fantastic for coming into the mix. New rider today on the start sheet, James Barnes, new to the Sunday Race Club, not new to racing on esports and e-cycling. A phenomenal competitor and one that is going to be great to see in the mix as we go through today. Now Plantero here right at the front, Kaminsky, Fawcett, all in the mix. So moving through strongly this Category 1 pack now. 500 metres into the race, rolling at 40 kilometres an hour. Nice and steady does it for the first 6 kilometres. I predict a riot on the Cortakia.
We will see, well, who is going to be the Kaiser, who is going to be chief protagonist at the moment. Vidal Mer already starting to wind this up on the front. Good to see Ross Fawcett back in action. He's not been with us for a little bit while and certainly not figured right at the front at the pointy end, but good to have him back in with us. Welcome back, Ross. Good to see you here with us. At the moment, Vidal Mer, the rider who's winding it up on the front. The first 6k are flat. That could lead to a pause, a little bit of a gentle start to proceedings. Not if you are Vidal Mer. You are taking this on from the front.
Well, just having a look at the start sheets today in Category 1. 28 riders on the start sheets. Now, congratulations to Wangallo because he's come up from Category 2. He did win the final last week in fine form. So great to see him here. Talbot, Thompson, Bjorkland, Barnes, Paradians, Noren, Plantero, Safrazadi, Fawcett, Panizza, Mare, and of course Zach Nair, who took his first win on the Sunday Race Club Qualifier 3 in April, which was in Belgium. Can he do it again?
Well, he's going to be up against it. There are some fantastic riders in this race start, on this race field, and in all our categories. Now, I'm just going to do a quick flip back because the top of the Quarter Key climb has been crested both by Category 3 and Category 4. Now, in Category 3, Rimburg, Squilari, Kalman, Hoyos, Kansara, Moreno, along with Sur, Oviedo, Rodriguez, and Acker. They're your top 10 in Category 3 at the top. In Category 4, at the top of the first climb, Connell, Warren, Neville Ross, Holtz, Rusinek, along with Hagland. Now, I think we're going to have Valgan, Valencia, Arago, Kirk, and Van Heining, the riders in the top 10 in Category 4. But, both are big groups, or relatively big groups, i.e. they're not 1, 2, or 3 riders. Because at this course, a big group is anything basically more than 10 riders.
Yeah, and I think we're still seeing over 20 riders in the lead on that Category 3 race. Can't quite work through at the moment with my information on screen how many are in the front of the Category 4 race, but it could be a big number.
It could indeed. Now, just taking a little bit of a look at the Ghent City Sprint. This is the first sprint we've just seen our riders go in through in Category 1. Now, what's missing from this picture? Which colour are you not seeing? Well, we're not seeing the blue of Category 3, but we're also not seeing any Category 1 riders pushing for the sprint. Has been said by some people, might be me.
I said they were having a steady start.
Well, I always think they're more cynical when it comes to the racing, and they choose their moments maybe a little bit more with a regard to the overall, and they just chase the big picture. Very rarely will they go after something that might be seen as incidental. Vidal Mayer, he's going for everything at the minute.
Well, he is, and he is indeed the rider from Category 1 who set the fastest time through the sprint. But bearing in mind, he came through in 41st place. But the rest of the Category 1 field, well, Kaminsky's in 86th.
Oh, you don't get to say that very often on race commentary.
No, I know. Go and say it again. Mikhail Kaminsky, 86th.
Well done, Mikhail.
Yeah, Ricardo Panizza is the 3rd Category 1 rider through the sprint, 115th.
I'm waiting for the rider in 180th place.
I don't think we have 180. So far, we've got 139 riders through the first sprint.
Oh, gutted. It's going to happen one day. I'm going to be able to do my best darts impression.
Okay, so Matt has been talking darts in the women's race. Should you wish to go back there, but he's obviously carrying on with the darts analogies today. Apologies if you've never watched darts.
It's a form of tiny arrow that you throw with one hand at a round board that is divided up into segments.
And you have to have good maths.
Yeah, need to have good maths to score it, and you also have to do all sorts of weird and wonderful things like finishing on a double, because there are segments and sectors within each segment that have multiplications
doubles
of
and trebles.
Doubles and trebles, indeed, of the score. That is enough of the quaint game of darts.
You can play around the world on a dartboard.
You can. We are playing around the world on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and of course, we always love to know where you are out and playing on board. So whether you are Johan Moreno, whether you are Say Savrizet, whether you are Olivier Simmons or Daniel Valencia, the 4 riders on our screens, we always love to know where you are. Please do get in touch with @MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook. It is @biking_Emma on Instagram and @MattFixerPayne on pretty much anywhere you can find me. Now, we're on the climb. We're in with Category 2. This is the Quarter Key. We're at 7.2k. This is coming towards the top of Part 1 of the 2-part climb of the Quarter Key. Part 1 is a rolling summit that rolls into the descent. Part 2 of this climb is a sharp kick to the left-hand side, and when that happens, it's quite a sharp descent off that as well, which means that you need to be in the group. Now, we're in with Ruben Dont, the preceding winner on this course. He is looking good at the moment. He's in with a real who's who. Kaplinski, Kahn, Simmons, Clays, Gross. So Graves in there, Walter, Mendakowicz, Largo. I mean,
you're never going to hear the end of that.
Probably not. We might just rename him Groves. Graves of Groves.
Well, I don't know about that, but Syed Keridine is up and out of the saddle, ensuring he stays in that pack because absolutely adamant he wants to be there. This is the top of the first part of the kicker of the quarter Kia. They are going to go over the top. They are then going to descend into the valley before it kicks again for the final stages. Crucial to be in the front group. Carradine is in the front group. He's there with Donsk, Gakes, Simmons, Quintero. These riders all really, really strong, but he's in the mix, and that's exactly where you need to be.
It is interesting to see Matthias Van Heen here. He's got another rider who goes well on this course. We saw Carradine just on the left-hand side of the screen there. Another rider who's going well. He's due a big win.
Vidal Mer is 20 seconds up the road in Category 1. Absolutely flying. He really has given himself some grace before going into the quarter Kia climb. They're still shy of it. They're at 5.5 kilometers, just 500 meters to go. You can see on the top right hand corner of the screen the graphic that gives you the road ahead. Mer well and truly up the road. He's already on that climb. And the rest of the Category 1 pack, well, I think they are banking on their climbing prowess to close the gap.
I think they are really interesting to see how they're starting to get a little bit of room to slide here. Nico along with the rider in front of Vidal Mer. But Emma, if you are not one of our, let's say, so there's a regular 10 people who are likely to figure at the very front of the race in the top 3. We're looking at this, and you're not one of those. You've really got to come up with something different, and I think Vidal Mer is doing that. He's thereabouts. Vidal Mer's not necessarily your regular top 3 scorer, is he?
Well, he has been in the mix on the podium.
So much
Can I just tell you, I have some really interesting stats. I've done a little tot-up this week of how many riders have won, January, February, March, April, May. Okay,
5 months.
So the first 5 months of the year. So this is obviously across all 4 categories, mind you. 14 winners in May, 11 winners in April, so lots of people are doubling up. 16 winners in March, so a bit more of a spread. Bearing in mind, some months have 3 qualifiers, some months have 4 qualifiers.
Okay.
11 in February, that's a very short month, mind you. 15 in January.
Okay.
So interesting, I think. We see regular
and
riders on
winners.
Winners. So we see regular riders winning. So, for example, Yasin, who's not here this week, not on the start sheets, not here, taking quite dominant throughout some of the months. If I go back to May, he took a win in Q1, Knudsen in Q2, Yasin in Q3, but he also won the April final. So out of those 4 races, did take 3 wins. Been a bit of a mix-up, though, because Ollie Jones took the win in the May final. So we see some doing more, some winning less.
And do you think the loss of Yasin is going to affect Michael Kaminsky? He's now going to the front at 7.5 watts per kilo, chasing Vidal Mer, who is still up the road. He's still got 15 seconds as Mer. Kaminsky is leading this bunch. Do you think Kaminsky is going to be at a loss without his partner in crime, Yasin?
No, I think Kaminsky always wants to win. I think he's just driven by winning. And that podium is absolutely where he wants to be. And to do that, he knows he's got to lay the hammer down on this race. Knudsen as well, coming really back into form. I think he's got more and more to prove because he's had some time away. He's had a period of illness. He's coming back into form, and he really wants to go back to the dominance that he had before. But he's got such phenomenal competition. It's just going to push him more and more.
And you always go quicker. I always have said time and time again, as Emma was probably bored of hearing, you don't get quicker by riding with people who are slower than you. You get quicker by riding with people who are quicker than you that can bring you on. And I'll tell you something, there's always somebody who's got something in their legs in category 1. Say Safra said, look at this, and you can see he's at I just saw a
look
10
at the
watts per
grimace.
kilo.
That's a grimace on his face.
Yeah, he's such a fearsome competitor. I mean, his setup, it remains the same camera shot. He really works hard on this. He's working well, and I have to say, he's back into this leading group, which has fractured. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, yellow dots now extended down at the quarter Kia at the moment, working their way down, and this is part 1. Over the top, those gaps between these groups will open. It will compress as they go through the low point, and then it will extend again as we go over the top of part 2. Who is going to make the first cut, the first selection? You need to be in this group. It's an in-it-to-win-it situation. We go over the top. We're into the descent. The speed starts picking up. We are now starting to move at 50 kilometers an hour. We're heading for 60. This is where the gap has opened. You see that on the left-hand side of your screen. The riders behind are not closing down at this stage. The physical distance has opened, and we're at nearly 70 kilometers at peak there in that short descent before it levels. Now, this is a false flat, if not slightly uphill in places. We then go into the descent. Emma, I'll tell you something. I'm absolutely loving the fact that this group in Category 1 have gone for it on the first climb of the day.
Well, we did say, well, if you watch the women's race, you have to treat the top of every climb as a finish line in this race. It's a hard race. I think when you look at the original stats to the Belgium course on the Sunday Race Cup, you go 45 kilometres, 492 metres. Well, that's not the 956 we often see. God, it must be an easy race. This is not an easy race. This is close. Phenomenally hard because of the short, sharp nature of the climbs and the way they just keep coming on this course in Belgium, and the riders and racers here know it. Now, if you've got a world-class field like they have in Category 1, well, you just have to keep digging. You have to keep digging. And Zach Nair, who took the win here last time, he was dropped on the final climb, but he dug and he dug and he dug and he came back and he fought on the descent to come back to the pack. And that's what you have to keep doing. You just have to believe and not give up.
Yeah, no giving up allowed on this course, whether in Category 1, 2, 3 or 4. Now, Category 2 riders at the moment. Well, you can see that green banner approaching. This is the Thistlehoven Molen, and that is basically the windmill sprint. They are now coming in now. Matthias Van He in this group. They're riding well at the moment. You can see that breeze blowing. Morning, afternoon, evening, Matthias, wherever he is. He's one of our Belgian riders in that Belgian jersey there, and very proud of that. He's on home turf.
It's a nice jersey.
I would love to know what his feel is about the climbs. How close are they if he's been out and ridden them? Would he rather ride them?
Anybody who has ridden in Belgium, in real life, on the roads and cobbles that are made up of this route, please do get in touch and tell us how realistic you think this race course is to riding these outdoors. So we're back in with Category 1, coming up to the final pinpoint, the polka dot banner very, very shortly. On the Kortekeer, we're going to see the numbers of riders who have been able to hang on and hang into this group. But Safra Zadie is leading it out with Kaminski, with Van Elst, with Panizza, Paradians, Mare, Plantra and Bjorkland are all in the mix here. They're not the only ones. It's a good-sized group going round the corner. There's the polka dot banner. Over the top they go. That's the Kortekeer, done for Category 1. And I can tell you, 11 riders in that group.
Stole my thunder. I was guessing at 11.
Well, I'll tell you something, Frank Thompson is only just back, so I would go by 12 by the time they get to the bottom of that climb.
I'll take that still within one.
Well, there you go. Stefan Van Elst, the fastest climb today on the Kortekeer, 6 minutes 27 seconds. Kaminski in 2, Kroll in 3, Nair in 4, Knudsen, Plantro, Panizza, Alanjong, Safra Zadie and Paradians rounding out the top 10. Ruben Don, Olivier Simmons, Matthias Van He, the fastest 3 riders up the climb in Category 2. We've done Category 3 and 4, haven't we? That was you earlier on.
We have indeed.
It's the royal way.
We've got the whole of the collection through there. Now, at the Thistlehoven Molen Sprint, we have had Category 2, 3 and 4 through the Thistlehoven Molen Sprint, and that's where Category 1 will go to next for our next snapshot on the racing. Meanwhile, let's skip across to your right to Category 3. At the moment, they're making the way across the top of the next climb. Now, at 20.2k, they are out the far side of the Valkenburg climb, but they are not into the descent proper yet because they've come through the lakeside.
Well, I'm laughing because Eric Rimble got in touch with me earlier on today.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, Cat 3, watch out at the top of the climbs. Do you know what? He went up the Kortekeer the fastest. He's gone up the Valkenburg climb the fastest as well.
And that means that he should have
the polka dot skin suit. Da, 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 da.
And if you don't follow Eric on social media, do. He's got some very entertaining videos going out on there. I would like to see a white T-shirt, Eric, with the polka dots on, please, for your next video. I just want to jump in with Jose Oviedo. Sorry. Jose is one of our really regular riders on the Sunday race. So that looks to me like he's taken the move out onto the balcony there to keep a little bit cooler, but the sun is
But a
coming up and
huge
it's gonna
fan
heat
as
up.
well.
Well, yeah, you're going to need that. And at the moment, Jose Oviedo in this leading group with Smythe, Hoyos, Kirchner, with Ridley in here, Elos, a really strong pack. And they are chasing Category 4, who are on the right-hand side of your screen, between our leaders in Category 3 and the leaders in Category 4. We have a distance of 3.1 kilometers. I might need to lose my voice more often because my maths is actually working. And that's your time and distance gap between them. It was a 5-minute head start. It's not 5 minutes between them anymore. Behind our Category 3 came Category 2, and this is the leading group in Category 2. This looks to me like 18 riders on the way in and through. That's my snapshot.
Have you counted?
No.
Or you just guessed?
Estimated.
Okay, well, I would estimate around 25.
Okay, we will find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You don't even hear me counting.
No, we don't, because
I
we
don't
can
need to
jump
use
back
my
in
voice
with
counting.
Category 1, and they are
Can't
now
count.
on the descent. And Michael Plantero pushing on at the moment. So Michael Plantero being chased down by Michael Knudsen, coming up into the Tissenhoven-Morven sprint. Knudsen going over the top of Plantero, pushing on here. Now, we have seen riders push on through the sprint and then continue to push on the other side. So the riders now in the chase group behind, having to pay close attention, because Knudsen has been known historically to go solo and stay clear. But Kaminski now shutting it down with Plantero there as well. So is Vidal Mayer. Jasper Paradians in the mix as well. Kaminski goes up over the top and toward. Oh, look at that. Kaminski going through the fastest. So the chase of Michael Knudsen making Kaminski set the fastest time through the sprint, 19.934 seconds. But look at that. Henry Yeast, 0.332 of a second back. He pushed on big style in Category 2 for that time. He was obviously being pushed by McCarroll, who is 2 seconds back as well. But then we go back to the Category 1 riders. In third place, Paradians. Fourth, Knudsen. These riders absolutely pushing on here. Thompson in 6th, Kroll in 7th, Ben Kirk in Category 4 in 8th position, Vidal Mayer in 9th, Alan Jung in 10th, Olivier Simmons and Ruben Dont, the 2 fastest riders in Category 2, coming through in 14th and 15th position.
Thank you for that roundup, Eva.
That's all right.
Cool.
Well, there we go.
Just have a little bit of moment of silence there, just a little repose as we look at the screens here. I don't need to save my voice. I've only got to get to the end of this, and I don't need to talk for at least another 3 hours until we go to Belgium again. So our riders on the way out and around. Category 1 looking good at the moment. A very aggressive racing. Category 2 the same. Category 3 at the moment just pausing a little on their way in towards the next climb at 23.3k. Now, we do have the climb they're heading in towards, and it is the one at the moment that we are seeing Category 4 go over the top of. It is not a categorized climb. Now, this is the Eichenberg
Well, it's
Hill.
not a segment.
It's not categorized on this race.
Yes.
However, because Emma no doubt hasn't forgotten the climb from last time, I'm sure she could tell you it's 1.4k long, and
an average gradient of 4.3%.
There you go. Fantastic stuff. Because it is a climb that is used, and it is very, very tough stuff when it is put in conjunction with the Eichenberg climbs. The hill and the climb together are very tough. That's coming up. Category 1. Emma, the attack.
This is a push on the descent. Yeah. So this is absolutely flying. We're seeing Knudsen. Look at Knudsen. He's up at 7.8 watts per kilo at the moment, because this is an absolute move here. And it's a move by Knudsen, Nair, oh, look at that. And Kaminski. What a triumvirate of riders. That is a phenomenal group. Nair, Knudsen and Kaminski. I would be frightened if I was in that Category 1 pack. Luckily, there's no way I could be unless I was on a motorbike.
Yes, I think for most people that would be the only way of getting back. Now, one thing that I'm thinking here is who is off the back.
Well,
because there's been a massive kick here. Who do they not want with them? You've got that attacking threesome at the front. You've got Safazedi and Co fighting to get back on. That is this group. Now, behind this group, there is a rider who's been distanced. And is this not a case of attacking at the front, but ensuring that the rider who's been dropped doesn't get back in? Because if you see somebody having a bad time, and they could be your biggest threat, if you go at the right time, you can really put them in trouble.
Well, can I just say, Science Safrazedi is doing the biggest dig ever to cross the gap between these two groups, because Kaminsky, Itner and Knudsen, take a look at the effort there.
Said.
He is pushing so hard to get. Christoph Kroll is also wanting a bit of the action, now starting to ramp up behind. In fact, he's going to help Safrazedi because he's coming up onto his wheel. If he goes up and over, do you know he's not going to go up and over the top? He's deliberately backed off onto Safrazedi's wheel. Yes. So he came in hard, he came in hot, but he didn't go up and over the top. But they are now closing down on the leading group, and that's because they're all now doing some work. Paradians at 9 watts per kilo, helping to close them down, because Kaminsky, Nair and Knudsen, no one wants to let them go away.
They don't, and I'm just looking at this group. There is one rider off the back behind this pack. Michael Plantero is going to make contact. So the Frenchman is in this group. We've got Thompson in here. We've got Mayer in here. Alan Young and Kroll, they're just on the back, just starting to get onto the wheels. But we have one rider behind, and it's going to be Panizza, who has been dropped here. So Panizza, they're not wanting to let anybody back in. Once you've been dropped, it is very, very ruthless. This really is, if you've ever watched Top Gear, it's Top Gear rules. When somebody has a problem, you leave them behind.
Well, that'd be why I don't watch it then.
It might have been that and all the general tomfoolery. You are a very serious person most of the time.
I know. I really dislike Top Gear. Anyway, now I've made lots of people in this race and watching it go, what? She doesn't like Top Gear?
It's an acquired taste for a segment of the population.
A lot of people around the world love it. Well, each to their own. But at the moment, Betty is the rider pushing on in this Category 2 race. And that's the polka dot banner up ahead of him. And that is the top of the Valkenburg climb. That is where the leaders in the Category 2 race are at the moment. Don pushing to come through hard. So is Olivier Simmons, Khan Cahen as well. Van He is there too. Now Mark Gates in close contention. They're on the reservoir at the top, crossing the water. Betty continuing with the pace, just backing off now to recover. The group will come back together again. In fact, there indeed is Betty. You can see there, just backing off, just sitting up, letting the group come back. Ospina, Kaplinski, Quintero, Walter, Krasnich are all in that group. They will all be back together. One big group of Category 2 riders. Taking a very quick scroll, 25 riders confirmed in this leading group in Category 2. It's a big group, but there were 48 riders on the start sheets this morning. So we have indeed lost some of those Category 2 riders, but 25 in the leading group at the moment.
So big leading group going over the top. The recovery can come in this section. It's going over the top. You can see that group has all come together. 20.3k covered. We've done 186 meters of 492. So it's about a third, if my maths hasn't totally deserted me in the space of race in Category 2. You can see Category 1 now about to hit the base of the Valkenburg, and that means that they are basically sub 2 kilometers behind the riders in front. They are motoring. Such an aggressive race has meant that Category 1 are absolutely flying. We're in with Frank Thompson on the left of our screen, the Dutchman at the moment. In that leading group on the right hand side of your screen, you can see that we are in with Torsten Holtz at the moment, the Belgian rider on home turf, the German rider here on the Belgian ground, working his way up in that group. He has got plenty of riders around him. This is still a good sized pack. Emma going over the top here of the climb. Are we going to see this group stay together? Because they've stayed together thus far, 30 kilometers in, so they have just gone over the top of the climb, basically up and over the top of the Eichenberg climb. They've done 3 climbs, they've got 2 to go.
Well, we started with around 50 riders on the start sheets in Category 4. It was very quickly brought down to around 19 in the leading group. We're 29.6 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, and we have a leading group of 10. Really, really strong riders. Kirk is in here. Van Valgem is in here. Warren Connell, Holtz, Neville Ross, Hagland, Rusinek, Valencia, and Arago. Oh, it's a strong group. Not sure who I think is going to take it out there, but I would anticipate, I am going to anticipate that over the next 15 kilometres, we see this group really work together well. They've got a big long run now from where they are at the moment at 30.3. The next 6.3 kilometres, pretty flat. So this group, I think, are all going to go into the Quarter Keir together.
I can't see them dropping anybody in the motocross kit unless they have a technical issue, or they are inattentive, or they drop a bottle or a gel or something like that, or they get a dropout on their connection. However, hopefully everybody's going to go in and be able to fight it out all fair and square, as we see Tatu Koivunen really starting to take it to the rest of the riders. He's on that flat ground at 22.6k. He's basically on the run in towards the Eichenberg Hill, followed by the Eichenberg Climb. Meanwhile, on the left of your screen, yep, that lake is there. We're on that causeway in between. It means that Category 1 have gone over the top of the Valkenberg Climb, and this is where you're going to get that regroup. If anybody is anywhere near this group, I don't think they are. I think they are absolutely miles away. But let's take a little bit of a look. They are at 20k now, nearly as 19.9 kilometers in Category 1. And here we go. Wow, that's interesting.
That's a sprint. That's the Tissenhoven-Moven sprint. We saw those last time. So just
indeed.
Bear with us one
there
moment.
We go. We're on to the
there
climb.
There you go. We found the Valkenberg, and that's why I was saying, only because I just had a little look on my screen, because you can find these live. Now, one of the reasons I was taking a little look, because Category 2 stayed at the top. So Dont setting the fastest time, 2 minutes 22 seconds. Betty Simmons, Kahn, Van Hee, Coinston Gates, Graves, Quintero, Mikhail Kaminski, the fastest Category 1 rider in 10th place. Then Largo, Kaplinski, Kranich, Spratt, Bjarhead, Ospina, Carradine, Walter, Kahn, Clays, Bengston, then Dakowitz, Holweiler, Millerstick, Obitko, all Category 2. Knudsen, Nair, Kroll, then starting to come through, 27th down. That has got to be the first time. It happens regularly in a sprint section, but on a climbing section, for the Category 1 riders not to be the fastest, it is a very rare thing to happen on the Sunday Race Club.
And in part, I think that must be because of how hard the first section was. We saw brutal racing in the first flat section in the first 6k. We saw brutal splits on the Quarter Keir. By the time they come to the Valkenberg, they've effectively ridden up that rather than raced up that.
What I also think it is down to is that Category 2, there's still 25 riders in that leading group. They are still trying to attack each other.
Have they?
They're still trying to attack each other to make that group smaller. Category 1 are down to 11 riders.
And that is already a reasonable number.
And they know if you take 11 riders into the Quermont on the Passenberg, you're not going to have an 11-up sprint at the finish.
So basically what you're saying is after climb number 1, they can just take it easy, have a coffee, maybe an ice cream on the way through, until they get to the Passenberg.
Absolutely not. No one is having a coffee whilst they're racing. They might have had a coffee before they started racing, but I can guarantee you no of the men in Category 1 are currently drinking coffee.
If Emma is wrong, please do get in touch. It is at Matt Fix the Pay. Now, please could do with the evidence to prove that it's not just me who drinks coffee whilst I'm racing, or maybe coffee flavoured gel.
I'll tell you something. No, it doesn't count at all, but I'll tell you something that could be quite exciting on this Category 1 race at the moment. 22.2 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race. Last time we were here in Belgium, we said Zach Nair took his first ever win on the Sunday Race Club. Ollie Jones was in 2, Kaminski in 3, Vujasin in 4, and Safrazadi in 5. But it was a 5-up sprint, and the top 5 all came into the finish line with 1.3 seconds covering them.
And of those top 5, who have we actually got with us today?
Well, we have Zach Nair, We don't have Ollie Jones.
Have you seen Zach there in this leading group? Because
Hold
I
on.
haven't.
Have you not seen
No.
him? Let me have a little look. Well, the problem is I don't have them as the top.
Oh, I do. There he is. My apologies, Zach.
Yeah, he's
Zach,
there. He's in
I
the mix.
apologise. You're right in the mix. You're
just give him
stealthy.
a wave, Mac. There
I am
you
waving.
go. Apologise.
There you go. No,
So, yeah.
well, I'll tell you what, that is a good thing, not a bad thing, we not noticing there, because it means he's not been expending energy needlessly.
He's riding very, very
Yep.
cleverly. So Jones and Vujasin, the two Coalition Alpha Jaw riders, not here today. They took second and fourth last time in Belgium. So only 3 of the past top 5 riders here in the mix. So we could be seeing new names on the top 5 steps today in Category 1, which would be really exciting. Not that I don't love our regular riders and our riders who finish at the top of this race, but I do love it, like I mentioned, a little bit of disruption, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of new names on the top step. Well, is it going to be new names on the top step in Category 1? Is it going to be new names on the top step in Category 2? Who knows? But they are at 25.3 kilometres now into this 45-kilometre course at 25.4 kilometres. They're on the Eichenberg Hill, which is the uncategorized climb that comes at the midpoint into this course.
Does. Quite agree.
Yeah. You were looking at me sort of across the studio as I'd say, I was
wondering about the maths there on the way through. That it's the midpoint, but the start of it probably is. The summit of it isn't. Now, I just was watching whilst I was speaking, the Jakob Bitko on the bottom left-hand side of the screen there, out of the saddle, really having to stay focused and attentive, because this roll over the top, this key section, as you go up the Eichenberg Hill, go up, it ascends, you roll over the top, and you roll downwards. Now, as you do that, you've got to be in with that group. If you get distance there, you've got a horrible chase on before you hit the Eichenberg climb, which would mean that you don't get this as recovery time. Recovery time between the Eichenberg Hill and the Eichenberg climb is absolutely critical, because you know that on the Eichenberg climb, you're going to be really on the river. It's the last climb before that big, long 6.6k run across to the Quermont and the final 2 climbs. So you've got to be in it to win 2/3 race distance effectively. You've got this big gap coming in. That's where you need to be in the group. Now, left-hand side of your screen, we had Category 1 racing hard, starting to stretch out. But I tell you who's stretching Category 3 here. It's Sergio Hoyos.
Oh, take a look at that.
He's put the pressure on. What I'm really loving, the group that you can see, those discs that you can see in the center of the radar view on the left-hand side, that's everyone you can see on the screen close by, underneath Sergio's name, underneath Johan Moreno's name. Behind them, that group behind are chasing. They're going to try and get back to them, but the gap has broken, and it means we have this more select group in here. So Moreno, Scolari, Kalman, Schur, Kansara, Rimborg, all in this leading group and more. And as we go in with Can, they're looking pretty smooth.
That's a big chase group though, Matt.
It's a big chase group, but I'm not sure it's big enough. And it's 9 seconds back. Kirchner, Acker and co, 9-10 seconds back on the leaders here. This is going to be tough stuff, because the riders out front are good. I mean, you've got Scolari, Schur, Rimberg. You've got riders who we know can figure in the top 5. And that's the right-hand side of your screen, 33k cover.
Yeah, the call has come to
3.
turn on the front. So the call comes from one of the riders. I think there's 7 riders in that leading group in Category 3. The call has come to take your turn on the front, to keep the gap going, because it's a large group of riders chasing. It was 18 riders in the leading group. 7 have gone clear, which tells me there are 11 riders in that chasing group at the moment in Category 3. They need to work hard. Well, working hard at the moment. Michael Knudsen on the front of the Category 1 race field, 25.3 kilometres. This is the Eichenberg Hill, the uncategorised climb at the moment that the Category 1 riders are near the top of. Knudsen pushing on, Paradians and Kroll, Mare and Nair. are part and parcel of the group closing it down. It's looking like 2 riders being dropped off the back there. So the Category 1 race is on and the group is starting to split. It was 11 riders going into the base of the climb. It could be 9 at the top.
Well, will we be into single digits in Category 1? I think we're going to definitely be in single digits in Category 2, who are just in front, as we see Category 1 crest the top of the Eichenberg Hill on the Eichenberg climb just in front. Category 2 is being ripped apart, and it's Maciej Mendakowicz who has got the gap. But Bitco, who we saw just now on our screens, going over the top, and Phil Graves, aka Phil Groves, aka Phil Graves, on the chase and working hard to try and bring that group back. Cloyston and Simmons in there, Don in there, Bjarhead in here. It really is a who's who of Category 2 on the right-hand side of your screens to go underneath the maple trees, those red leaves over the riders in Category 2. Let's take a quick flick through where our riders are. Category 4 at the moment, 36.6k. They're just hitting the start of the Quermont climb. They've just gone underneath the banner. Category 3 at the moment, they are at 34.3k, so they are 2.3k off from the start of that climb. They are chasing Category 2. Well, we have got Mendakowicz and Graves at the moment with a gap to Krasnich, Koistonen, along with Van Hee and Walter, with Category 2 being exploded across the slopes of the Eichenberg climb. And in Category 1, as we approach 27 kilometers, we have descended from the Eichenberg Hill, and Category 1 in the yellow are now about to hit the start of the climb. That is the Eichenberg climb, climb number 3 in terms of categorized climbs, climb number 4 in terms of actual climbing as you go through the course here today.
Well, the attack is definitely on in that Category 2 race. Take a look at the overhead shot on the bottom left of the screen. The stretch on that Category 2 pack now, it was still a huge group. It's still 25 riders going into the bottom of the Eichenberg climb. Taking a quick look at the results, those riders coming through now in 1s and 2s, but the stretch is on. I've got 19 riders now in Category 2 over the top. But look at the front of this race. This is an absolute flyer going on here. So Phil Graves, Mendakowicz, Dont, Betty, all at the front here. 4 riders pushing on. Simon Walters there as well. Kayan, Bjarhead, well, Burke and Khan Kayan. And this type of course really suits those 2 riders. They're very, very punchy, very strong in the sprints. But Ruben Dont, well, is this going to be his day today? He is a picture of concentration on the screen at the moment, coming up onto Phil Graves' wheel, going up and over the top, taking the lead now in the Category 2 race. They're at 30 kilometers an hour. Graves wants this. Graves wants to keep the pace high because the group are coming back together. So Philip Graves pushing on, ensuring the stretch on this group continues. He doesn't want those riders at the back to come back onto the group, and they are. This is one long tail at the moment of riders in the Category 2 race, and there's some adamant riders at the front of this that at the 30-kilometre mark, now is the time to break the group.
If you had Lindemann Lostich chasing, if you had people behind of the calibre that we've got behind, people like Spratt and co, you would want to leave them behind. You would not want to take them into the finish, particularly the youngsters, people like Kaplinski who've gone off the back. That's Category 2, and we're seeing Michael Knudsen now going past some of those riders, just gone past Henry East here, who I'm sure will be trying to jump in and hitch a lift on the way through. But at the moment, it is Knudsen leading, then Kaminsky, Ness, Sanfrazar, Plantero, the leading riders. Again, more riders dropped off the back of this group. There are at least 2 riders gone from the group. They were chasing to try and get back in as we came over the top of the Eichenberg Hill into the Eichenberg climb. But we have seen our preceding categories on this run for the line. Around the left turn, underneath the big yellow banner here from MyWhoosh, we take the right-hand sweeping bend, and at the moment, the Knudsen is piling on the pressure. 9 watts per kilo coming from Knudsen, and the rest have to answer this. They are coming, but this is now a much more select group of riders. Knudsen leading the way round underneath the MyWhoosh green and a
I
pink
was
banner.
about
Look
to ask.
at this.
Sorry, but I was about to ask the same question as I asked last week. Where was Kaminsky? Kaminsky was up ahead because Kaminsky is in the green skin suit, and that is why Knudsen is pushing on, because Knudsen is chasing Kaminsky. Kaminsky has gone on this climb just shy of 15 or just under 15 kilometers, or just, I'm going to get my words in, just over 15 kilometers from the finish line. This is the Eichenberg climb. There is a long transition section of over 6 kilometers to the base of the Quermont. Oh, I would question whether this is the right climb to go on.
He ain't got no hope.
No,
he ain't got
not
no
with
hope.
this lot chasing
Not
him.
a chance.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders chasing Kaminsky at the moment. We had 9, then it was 8, now it is 7.
Michael Kaminsky, if you solo to the finish, I will buy you a beverage of whatever sort you wish to have.
And he'll
when
drive
I see you.
all the way to Poland to give it to you.
No, I won't. Next time I see you in person, somewhere, probably at the World's Finals, I will buy you a beverage of your choice if you can solo to the finish from there with that group of talent behind you, because that would be incredible. Not to take anything away from his performance, a 5-second ascent quicker, 5 seconds quicker than the chasing group behind. So these are the chasers behind. Knudsen was leading that chase. We're looking to try and pull the gap down. We have got people like Nair in there, Safar Zaidi, a real pursuit on our hands in Category 1. Meanwhile,
pursuit in Category 3.
I'm not sure. Do you know what it reminds me of? It's the carnage that happens when you have an inexperienced Madison on the track. I've been in one of those. Oh my goodness, there were bodies everywhere.
That has got to be the worst place to be on a track.
On a velodrome, in a Madison, with hand slings going off all around you with people who've not got much experience. Oh, it was carnage. There were people on the top of the track, the bottom of the track, all in the middle of the track, not necessarily changing the right places.
Well,
but you know what? It's a bit like this. There's exchanges here. And what I'm really loving is the fact that Category 3 and 4, 3 are working their way through 4, but 4 are not giving up on this. And the good climbers in Category 4 are thinking, hang on, this is a really good place to be with them.
Well, can I just tell you, this is the Quermont climb. This comes at 36.6 kilometres into the race. It's 2.2 kilometres in length, so it's a long one with an average gradient of 4.2. Warren, Holtz, Connell are already over the top. Currently 1, 2, 3 in the Category 4 race. 9 riders going over in that leading group in Category 4. So those Category 4 riders currently on the Quermont are chasing, but that Category 3 pack of Category 3 leaders absolutely in the mix as well. Well, in the mix at the moment, Michael Knudsen is still pursuing Mikhail Kaminsky. Kaminsky holding the green and the polka dot skin suits at the moment, a fastest sprinter and fastest climber in the Category 1 race field. Safar Zaidi taking up the march. The group are coming. The effort that Kaminsky put in on the last climb, the Eichenberg climb, well, they are all back together again.
This is a decisive moment, or you see Kaminsky being caught here as we come back down into town here, and Kaminsky gets caught, but again, another little push, another little kick.
He knows he's strong.
He makes his way into action. He knows that he's been pulled back, and that means that there's been an effort behind to do it, because you don't pull back a rider like Kaminsky without putting in an effort. Who is using their energy the most efficiently? We're going to have to see. Will it be those who are attacking, who are dictating the pace, or those who are chasing, who are expending energy in response?
I think there's a couple of Category 1 riders keeping their powder dry in the chasing group.
I would agree 100%, particularly those we haven't mentioned. Anyone we haven't mentioned who's in that group is currently riding very smart indeed, because they're keeping out of our way and out of sight, out of mind for us. Is
Take
often
a
the same
look
for
at
everyone else.
Mendakowicz. He's riding smart at the moment.
He loves this course.
13 seconds. He does love this course. 13 seconds clear at the moment of the chasing group in Category 2, and it's a who's who in the chasing group. But, well, who is Mendakowicz? He is a top step rider in Category 2. He's got 10.5 kilometres to go, though.
And a quick time to take a turn indication there from Ruben Dont. He put that emotion down. He was showing with his finger that turn and turn about in chasing. They know they can't let Mendakowicz go too far. Mendakowicz is not easing off all that much. You can see at the moment Betty on the left-hand side of your screen out in the saddle. He sits back down again. He's done his turn here. He now needs other people to come through. You can just see, just trying to wipe away a little bit of the sweat so you can see what's going on. Always tricky. We see a lot of the riders now with headbands and with sweatbands on the wrist just so they can keep that focus, they can see through the sweat. Now, at the moment, Betty really is putting a massive effort down here. He's got Van Hees, Simmons, Bjarhead, Cloyton and Dom behind. He's doing all the work, but that is a massive train of riders behind. They need to start working together. If they hand this to Mendakowicz, there's going to be a lot of people pretty grumpy with anybody who's sat at the back of this pack not working.
Well, it is a race, as you say, and everybody plays out their own tactics. And the tactics in category 2, well, there's 9.7 kilometres for them to work their way to the finish line and execute those plans. In category 1, on the left-hand side of your screen, we've got Kaminsky back in the pack. The pack is rolling. The pack is rolling well at 33.5 kilometres. They're on the flat transition between the Eichenberg climb and the Quermont.
And the Quermont climb is where category 2 are approaching, because you can see that they are at 35.6k, 1k or less now, in fact, to the climb. You can see that at 40 kilometers covered, while the riders in category 3 at the moment have dropped down and they're now on a leveling out of the course. Their next climb, well, the Papenburg kicks off at 42.9k, so we've got a little bit of distance to go.
I'll tell you something, that's exactly where category 4 are.
Anyone would think we planned it. Here we go, on to the climb. We're in with Captain Ben Kirk as he chases down Andrew Neville Ross, a man for whom the sweatbands and headband are always immaculately white, but he uses personal. Other brands are, of course, available as they make their way onto the climb. This is the Papenburg climb. This is the last categorized climb. This, in theory, is your final kick uphill. It's not in reality, because there is another riser before we get to the line. This, though, is long, it's steep, it has a horrendous profile. When you hit it, you know you are hitting the wall. It is 8.5% gradient. I'll tell you something, it doesn't relent until you go over the top. Watch out to see if those gaps open from Arago to Neville Ross. 3 seconds, it looks like you could reach out and touch the riders in front, but you know what, that is a big gap, and Kirk having to put down nearly 7.5 watts per kilo in pursuit here of Arago. He's going to bridge across. It's a bit difficult to do. I'm not sure he's going to make it. He's drifting back again as Arago now kicks over the top here. You saw Kirk almost come out close enough to pick his pocket, well, you know, and he's gone back again.
The Papenburg is the last segment of climb on this course, but there is a climb to the finish, and the timing at the end of this race absolutely crucial. Arago setting the fastest time currently up the climb, 1 minute 13. Ben Kirk, well, he's a couple of seconds back with Neville Ross Valencia in there as well. Van Velgem is in there, and Connell. The 6 riders now up, well, in fact 7, because Torsten Holtz is there as well. Can I just say, 1 minute 13 on here. In real life, up the Papenburg, multiple Strava segments are available. Walt Van Aert,
go on.
50 seconds.
Yes, let's have Walt riding on this. That would be very, very much fun. We'll see if that's going to happen now. Right-hand side of your screen, Arago with that gap that's opened up to 5 seconds. He comes in around this right-hand sweeping bend. It is absolutely flying. On his way in and round. He's going good at the moment. He's got to go as long straight. He's got a riser, and then he's got to go in to the finish. This is going to be an absolute flyer. Let's see if he can pull it out. He's on a mission.
Well, he's on a mission in category 4 for the run into the finish. Knudsen's on a mission in category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, but he is not dropping the group at the moment. It's the transition into the final set of climbs for category 1, but category 4, they are up and over the final set of climbs. Arago has pushed on here. He's coming round the right-hand bend that sweeps him into the city. He's got 8 seconds at the moment. Kirk is chasing, so is Valencia, but they are not kicking at the moment. Arago is kicking too. He's on the climb. He's pushing on at nearly 6 watts per kilo. He's got 500 meters to go. The chase group need to do something now if they want to close the gap, because the finish line is coming. Tim Connell starts to kick Nicholas Arago in 1, kicking Connell in 2, Neville Ross in 3, Van Wollengem in 4, Valencia in 5. Valencia moving up through the mix. Connell and Neville Ross continuing to push, but Arago is still in 1. He can't see the finish line yet. He's got 300 meters. It's still a long run. Who's going to launch the sprint? How big is the sprint going to be? And who's got anything left?
That final kick in, so tough. Who is going to be able to move? Will Valencia be able to use this sprint? Arago, this is where he can see the line.
Well, he can see the line. Arago looks up, he can see the line, and I think everyone thinks this is all over because Arago has gone clear. He's pushed on early. He has paid dividends for him. That's the banner. This is Nicholas Arago. There's a round of applause in the studio from Matt. Arago wins Category 1. Neville Ross, I think, takes 2. It's been a sprint behind for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Now, Category 4, Arago, Neville Ross, Valencia, Connell and Van Velgem. That's Belgium. That's your top 5 in Category 4.
Amazing racing in Category 4, and congratulations to Nicholas Arago, and that is certainly his first win for a long time, if not his maiden win here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. I'm sure Emma will be having a look through those stats later. Meanwhile, we've got 3 more categories to bring in terms of race winners to the line. Lots of riders scattered all the way out and around Belgium. Please do make sure you keep an eye on all those results. They will be on the website.
Can I just say, he did finish 2nd last time we were in Belgium to Neville Ross, so they have just reversed it. And he's taken top spot.
Excellent. I do love a good Belgian grudge match. Maybe they're the Wout van Aert and the Matthew van der Poel of Category 4.
Arago and Neville Ross.
There you go. Okay, let's get you back in with our racing with our riders on your screen. Category 3 leaders, Matthias Kalman, Nick Scolari, Nicol Cansara and co. on the way round. Now, this has broken. We saw them come over the top of the Paterberg and we saw it break. They're now into this right-hand bend, and you're going to start to see a little bit of a kick as they work their way into town. You saw that in the Category 4 finish. Timing is everything. One long straight here, one right-hand bend, one left-hand bend, and then the run to the line. Kalman starting to get twitchy. Nobody going up. If you see a sprint, you're looking for numbers at least in the region of about 8 or 9 watts per kilo from these guys. They should be pulling out those kind of numbers, but this is a big group behind them. If anybody hesitates, there are riders in 1s and 2s behind, but who will blink first?
Well, blinking first is not the issue. It's who puts the power down first that counts. And Kalman is absolutely motoring at the moment, just hanging off the front. Squilari, Cansara, so 8 seconds back. It could be a gap to close given these riders looking at each other, but currently we've got 4 Category 3 riders mixed with some Category 4 riders. It's Cansara, Hoyas, Kalman and Squilari who are going to be battling it out for the finish. Squilari is winding it up, but they are hesitant to go first. There's 500 meters to the finish line. They're going to swing around the left-hand corner. They're going to see the banner. Squilari's kicking it 6.5. Cansara is matching it, but so is Kalman. They are moving through the field, but no one wants to lead this out big style. Squilari now just winding it up slowly, 8 watts per kilo. He's got 400 meters to go. Cansara is coming as well, but Kalman is there too. So this is going to be a Cansari versus Squilari, I think, as a 2-rider race here. And Cansara is coming. Can Squilari hold him off? These are the 2 riders in the mix here. Squilari, I think, is going to take it to the line. I don't think Cansara is going to be able to close this down. So Nick Squilari takes the win in Category 3. Nicol Cansara taking 2. Sergio Hoyas coming through for 3rd place. Matthias Kalman coming through in 4.
Well, really interesting technique there from Squilari going up. He wound up on the front there. That was not one kick. You saw him increasing the power incrementally. He lifted it 0.1 at a time, 0.2 at a time. No big jump from 5 watts per kilo to 15 watts per kilo. He wound it up. He went up to 4. He went up to 4.5, 5, 5.1 2, all the way through to about 7.9. But no point where we've seen a massive kick from him. But what it meant was those people with that sharp sprint behind had a long time in which to make that move, get past and stay in front. And that was a long wind up. Great riding by him. Very, very tactically done. Good ride. Good win by him. Well done to everybody who's in through the line so far, and well done to all of our top 5 riders, because of course that's where those prizes will be headed, subject to of course verification, which takes place not just in game and on the way through before, but also after the event. So those event results are at the moment live. They will then be unofficial at the end of the race until everybody is verified. Now they are on the way up the climb very shortly here in category 2. Jonas Bjarhead with a lead here. He's ahead of Ruben Dont, Simon Walter, Phil Graves and Betty. At the moment, it looks to me like Mendekowitz has been pulled back and dispatched. Oh, he's in that
there.
chasing group.
He's in the chasing group. You know, he loves this course, but Jonas Bjarhead, really interesting to see him go for a long attack here, 3 kilometres from the finish. They've got the Patenberg climb to come very, very shortly. And it's interesting because Bjarhead is giving himself that little run into the Patenberg, clear of the group behind. But Mendekowitz is now really digging deep. I've just seen 9 watts per kilo from Mendekowitz trying to close that gap down before the base of the Patenberg. Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. 5 riders now in the leading group. Paradeans is one of the riders in the chase group, 15 seconds back.
A real who's who up at the front, because we've got Plantero, Kaminsky, Knudsen, Savasady, and Nair. Now, has Michael Plantero taken a win? I know that Savasady has. I know that Knudsen has. Kaminsky has, and Nair has.
Well, okay, you leave that to me for a little bit.
Okay, you go get your head in those notebooks, whilst I just have a little bit of a look at the screen here. So Michael Kaminsky, the rider that we're in with at the moment. Tactics here. So we know that Zach Nair has won on here before. We know Michael Kaminsky, we say Safrazedi has also had the win. Plantero is the one we debating in category 1, left hand side of your screen. Right hand side of your screen, we're just coming in towards the base of the climb. The gradient is at 9% and it's kicking as they come up here. It is a nasty climb. We've still got plenty of distance to go. This is the main group now. We're in with Mendekowitz at the back of that group. As into the tunnels comes the leading group in category 1. So category 1 on the descent on the left hand side, category 2 on the ascent on the right hand side. So it looks like Walter in there, Graves, Quintero, Dont, Koistonen, Bjarhead. It's a who's who of category 2. Now they're going to be leaving this to a 10-man sprint, because it's looking like it could go that way in category 2. Category 1, 5 riders in there. Knudsen again pushes on the front. We saw a little bit of an easing down to 2.5 watts per kilo by some of the riders. And Nair, in fact, I've just seen 0.9 watts per kilo from Nair. He's resting. He's getting ready for that kick. Knudsen on the front wants to keep the pace high. Some riders like to kick from a slower pace. Some have a big snap, a big powerful boost. Other riders like to go from higher speed.
Well, okay, so Michael Plantero, no win. But I have got a 4th place in the May final for Michael Plantero and a 5th place in the April final. So he is in the top, or how should I say, he has been in the top 5 before. He knows what the racing is all about right on the top steps, but if he did take the win, it would be his first. I'm
sure James, our colleague on the French commentary, will be going absolutely mental if we see Michael Plantero on his way in, and it would be a great result. Now, let's focus in on our category 2. They are making their way around this right-hand turn. It straightens out, levels out. And then we go again, 43.9k. We're coming up to the 1 kilometre to go marker. And as they come around, it's Graves, Betty, Quintero, Walter. It looks like Mendekowitz, Dont, and Koistonen all in this mix.
I think that's 8 riders.
It's a huge pack. Now, they're on the straight section. It will go to the right. It will rise up and then the run for the line. That's the right-hand side of your screen simultaneously. The category 1 are going into the climb, but this is the run for the line in category 2. 900 metres to go. They're looking at each other. They are waiting. Will we see a big kick? Will they leave it late, or will we have a long run in for the line? We're seeing a bit of a flyer going at the moment, and it looks like Ruben Dont has gone early, and that is monstrous. 13 watts per kilo from Ruben Dont on the way up this climb. He's into this last riser, and he has put seconds into the group behind. Can they respond?
That's a finish line sprint coming 600 metres before the line, and Dont has gone, but Quintero has responded. So has Biarhead, so has Coinston, and Quintero is coming up fast. But can Dont hold this? I don't know whether he can. Phil Graves, Betty are all behind. So is Walter. In fact, they're a long way behind now. It's just Jonas, Biarhead and Quintero, I think, who could catch Ruben Dont. But Dont is kicking at 9 watts per kilo. Biarhead is digging deep again, but I don't think he's going to come up onto Dont. I think this is going to be Dont's race, but he's still got 200 metres to get to that line. Has anybody got a last-minute kick to answer Ruben Dont? The answer is no. Ruben Dont is looking like he's going to take the win here in Category 2. He does. One happy rider, early attack. Dont takes the win in Category 2. Biarhead comes through in 2. Oh, absolutely fantastic.
What a finish there as they came in and through. Meanwhile, in Category 1, big moves, because all of a sudden it looks to me like Michael Knudsen is in trouble. He's off the back of the group. We didn't expect to be saying that as we came over the top of the Pattenberg, but Kaminski is leading this out. He is clear at the moment. Behind him, you've got Nair, you've got Safrazadi, you've got Plantero, and then Knudsen off the back of that group. This has gone to pieces, and at the moment, Michael Kaminski, he has got the polka dot, he's got the green. Can he get the yellow?
Well, it could be 3 jerseys for Kaminski today, obviously putting an attack in on the Pattenberg. Plantero, the rider, chasing hard. Zach Nair hanging in there at the moment. Safrazadi now further back, so it's looking like it's Kaminski, Plantero and Nair. These are the 3 riders who stand the opportunity here for the top 3 places on the Sunday Race Cup today in Belgium. Who's going to take 1? Who's going to take 2? Who's going to take 3? Well, Kaminski's currently leading this out, but Plantero is coming. Kaminski going at 8 watts per kilo. Plantero at 8.5, 9 watts per kilo behind. Has he left this too late? Can Kaminski make it all the way to the finish line? Well, I think Matt on the other side of the studio thinks he can. It's 4 seconds back for Plantero. It would be his first win. Well, it'll be his first second step as well. But can Plantero work his way up the podium? Kaminski is the rider pushing on. 400 metres to go to the finish line for Category 1 today. So they're going to swing round the corner. See the UCI banner. It's Kaminski leading this out for the Category 1 race. Plantero in 2, Nair in 3, Safrazadi in 4, and Knudsen in 5. That's the UCI banner. This is Mikhail Kaminski. He is going to come over the line in first place in Category 1. Congratulations to Kaminski taking the win in Category 1 today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, starting the summer as he means to go on. Well, Mikhail Plantero coming through for second place today. Zach Nair, who took the win here last time, having to settle for third. But great riding and great racing today from the Category 1 riders. Side Safrazadi coming through in fourth place. Michael Knudsen, just over 10 seconds back, is going to take fifth.
A great race here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club as our riders come in, and Knudsen not to be his day at the front of affairs, but right in the thick of it, and some amazing action, some great moves being made by him on his way into like Sir Carradine. You can see here from Category 2 giving it everything on his way into the line, not able to quite take that win in Category 1, but it shows you these riders all racing to the finishing line. We've still got plenty of riders to come, but let's give you a recap of our top 5 positions. In Category 1, first of all, Mikhail Kaminski leading home at the race field, followed by Mikhail Plantero, Zach Nair, Zai Safrazadi, and Michael Knudsen. They're your top 5, with Jasper Paradis coming in 6th. Don had led home Category 2 with Biarhead and Quintero behind him.
Coinston and Graves taking 4th and 5th spot in Category 2 today.
So categories 1 and 2 in and done. Don't forget you can catch up with all of the race results on mywhoosh.com/results. Please do make sure you tick subscribe, follow, not just of us, Matt Fakes a Pain, and Emma Martin. It's at Biking Emma for Emma, but also, of course, on MyWhoosh. Make sure you subscribe to the platform and make sure, of course, you jump on board and come and have a ride with us. We're regularly out there and riding on MyWhoosh. We have done 2 or 3 races that we've got in Belgium today, all UCI races. Of course, MyWhoosh, the UCI partner for 2024, 25, and 26. And we're going to be back in Belgium a little bit later on for the Mountain Bike Eliminator, the XCE from Leuven in Belgium. So please do join us for that as well. We will, of course, be back for Qualifier number 2 next week. I'm really looking forward to that. Emma, great racing here in Belgium. Any guesses where we're going next week?
Oh, I don't know.
I love it when I ask Emma questions, so I've not told her I'm going to ask her.
I don't know. I think
What are you feeling like? Come on, quick.
I'm feeling
it's the end
like.
Of the show.
What am I feeling like? I'm feeling like.
Ice cream?
Well, yeah,
Come on.
always. I'm feeling like we might be going to the Paso Alto.
Oh.
Colombia.
So Emma's gone for Colombia. I'm going to go for an Arabian set of courses with the Heritage. That was my guess.
Ooh.
We will see who's going to be right. I hope you're going to be joining us to see who was correct. But it's a time, I'm sure, for our riders to get the recovery drinks down. It's time for us. Massive thank you to you for watching our riders, for keeping us entertained, and the amazing team behind the scenes for bringing us the race action as well. But from me, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.